The third important factor that leads you to lose your self-esteem is your parents, who throughout your childhood and youth, and even in your adult life, you are subjected to a series of limiting thoughts that you have to deal with. The first of them, you are a bad son. Most of us have grown up believing that we were bad people, but this is mainly because we grew up in a family environment in which one or both of our parents made us believe that if we did not do what they said, that meant that we were bad children. The problem is that all of us enter a process in which we want to do our own will. On many occasions, because the model we receive from our parents does not work for the world and the time in which we live. And secondly, because many times our own parents are inconsistent in what they preach. They say one thing, but do the opposite. Bad child syndrome arises in almost everyone I have met over the years. But what if instead of receiving those kinds of words, you had grown up in an environment in which you had been valued fairly for making your own decisions? Clearly, you wouldn't have the self-esteem issues you are now dealing with. The other limiting thought that arises in the relationship with parents is you are a burden. My life would be so much easier if I didn't have you. Many parents tell their children that they cannot have the life they want because of their children whom they have to support and care for in their childhood. Think about the frustration your parents had and how they took them out on you, and you will understand very well what I am talking about. This trauma is precisely what causes you to develop the belief that when you reach adulthood, and in particular the relationship you lose, that you are a burden to everyone when in reality you are not. And the last limiting thought that causes you to lose self-esteem is one that many parents subject their children to. You look like your father or your mother, who hurts me. When you live in an environment when your parents have a toxic relationship, your parents make you develop the thought that you have some kind of fault for physically looking like your father or your mother, which right at that moment does physical or emotional harm to your other parent who subjects you to this type of trauma. And that is precisely what causes that when you reach adulthood and face traumatic experiences with your partner, this thought arises in you, under which you end up believing that because you are similar to your father or your mother, because you have qualities that are very yours. It is the reason why you cause other people's discomfort. But the thing is, it is not your fault for being who you are. If you think about it, many of these factors that we have explored here are what often even lead to people not knowing if they deserve to continue living in this world. But I remind you that these beliefs are not real. These are simply thoughts that other people, due to their own traumas, have inserted into your psyche and from which you have to dissociate yourself, which is what we are doing in this program, and it is done much faster in my office. Now, you must keep in mind that there are other factors and other limiting thoughts, but here I only focused on those that I encounter the most in my consultation, in the case of a relationship breakup. In the next section, we are going to work on the topic of how you can recover your self-esteem once you have lost it at a general level. I see you there.